Andrew, let me just, I ask because Trump has shown us that he's incapable of change. So he had his strikes inside the courthouse, as anyone does. He never planned for that to be the only way to eliminate jurors. That's never the plan, right? Shaye Moss and Ruby Freeman aren't actually ever found to have done anything that Rudy Giuliani said that they did. They were passing, quote, ginger mints. But they were harassed. They were scared out of their home. They were intimidated. I mean, they always use the toolbook of a mobster to intimidate and shape events. And I have to say, and this won't feel good, but it works. And they did this and it works. She's not on the jury anymore. Is it already too late to stop Trump from manufacturing the jury that he wants?
It is not too late, but if I were the judge in this case, I do think that it's one where you obviously have to respect the rule of law and due process. In other words, you don't stoop to the level of the action that's engaged in by a defendant. That obviously is not the appropriate response. But you cannot sit there and say, I'm going to tolerate this. You know who's entitled to have the rule of law? The people of the state of New York, on whose behalf this case has been brought. The district attorney is entitled to the rule of law and to a fair trial. The jurors who are feeling intimidation are entitled to, just like your analogy to Shaye Moss and Ruby Freeman, they're entitled to serve on a jury without the concern about fear. And I do think, by the way, that this is an area, my experience in the courtroom and dealing with judges is if there is a red line for judges, it is going to be the jurors. The need to keep them safe and secure. So it'll be very interesting to see how Judge Merchan reacts to this. But I do think that the road to hell in this country is going to be thinking that you should not apply the exact same rules to Donald Trump as you would to any other defendant. I think that is, you are not doing anyone any favors by doing that. And it may be something he is goading the judge to do. It may be something for political reasons that he wants to have happen. That is irrelevant. That is, the effect is the thing that has to be dealt with right now. And I think that this is something I think all eyes are really on Judge Merchan, because it's going to set the tone for how this trial goes. And it is clear that Donald Trump is testing that right now.
Sue Craig, you were in and around the courthouse, the judge, the defendant, the jurors and prospective jurors today. Is it known? I mean, tell me what the sort of awareness is among, obviously, journalists covering this know what happened. They know what Jesse Watters, and I just want to make sure everyone knows what Jesse Watters smeared the juror for was getting information from Google, the New York Times, and believing that, quote, no one is above the law. And then he cocks his head and said, I don't think so, not so much. So, I mean, what are they looking for?
No, and I think most of the jurors responded in that way. I think that the issue that I saw today, and the judge took some measures, whether it's enough, we don't know. But the issue is they have jurors, prospective jurors, getting into the box, and we can hear their answers, and Donald Trump and the government know who their names are. And they're asked some questions. They're asked their name, or not their name, so there's one thing they're not asked, but they're asked where they work. So I work at the New York Times, and I'm single. And it goes down the list to the point where we can identify some of them. And I think that was the problem, especially where they work. And the woman who came in today was concerned because friends had called her and said, are you on the jury? And the number 4 juror who came in, he was actually recused. There was some issues brought up about his integrity, and we don't know why he was recused ultimately, because it happened out of earshot of the media. But he said as well that he was concerned that he could be identified. And they've taken some measures. You no longer have somebody identifying their employer now. The judge stopped that. And then we were also told that we couldn't, say or write anything that wasn't read into the record. So we can say we know they're a lawyer, but we can't say they have they were wearing a New York Rangers hat and had a jean jacket on. So they're trying to take some measures, but whether or not it's enough, I don't know. I mean, somebody left on Tuesday and came back on Thursday and was having second thoughts about this. We went from 7 to 5. Tomorrow we could again, it could be reductive again. And, while you're in the courthouse, I was late getting up here because the court was frozen for an hour because there were jurors in the hallway. They're taking a lot of precautions, but I still saw jurors this morning coming in. It was just, there's a lot going on. There's people queuing everywhere. They're trying to get the media in. They're trying to get hundreds of jurors into the building. Floors are frozen. It's very chaotic down there, and things happen, mistakes happen. I think the staff are doing, and they're trying to do their best job, but occasionally people like me end up on a floor full of jurors, and we see them.
I mean, I guess the difference would be that you didn't go on TV, identify them, and disqualify them.
No, but some people might, though, and that's the concern.
Right,
I'm not going to do that, but
right.
the concern is there may not be, honest brokers that get into a situation where accidentally something happens.
I mean, the whole idea of going home and your friends and family saying, was that, oncology nurse, you? I mean,
Right.
This is what, I agree that it can make you wonder whether you can be completely objective, because then you sort of flush out what your friends and family think of him. But there's also this fear. Let me show you what Michael Cohen said over the weekend.
How are you feeling going into this week?
Stressed, nervous. There's a swath of the American populace that are so knee-deep into the cult of Donald Trump. The attacks are relentless because that's what he does. He attacks the judge, he attacks the judge's daughter, he attacks witnesses, he attacks anyone and everyone. Again, thinking that this is a positive strategy, it doesn't work. So, yeah, I'm concerned and a little apprehensive.
You and I both know he is never at a loss for words. And I'm sure his family's nervous too. And Michael Cohen's in a slightly different position. He's a star witness to the facts and the actual how the hush money worked and how Donald Trump paid him.
But appearing under subpoena as well.
Correct.
He wouldn't voluntarily be there.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
And there has to be. It's and I want to press Andrew and Tim on the other side. How much can you sequester a juror and their family from everything that comes through on the phone?
One thing we haven't mentioned that is going on in the courtroom, and Donald Trump got rap for it the other day by the judge. One juror came in and he was making gestures towards this woman, and he got yelled at by the judge for it. I mean, he's trying everything. He's going as far as he can, and I think the judge is trying not to sanction him at this point. He doesn't want to give him more ammunition, but this is the tug of war going on in that courtroom right now, live. As we're seating more jurors right now, and I can see some of them coming in tomorrow and probably having second thoughts.
Right.
And who knows what we're not seeing from that overflow room. There are very few people in the courtroom right now. It is full of jurors and a few pool reporters. So there's a lot that we may not even be catching that's going on.
It's amazing.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.